Hey friends, picture this. A post-apocalyptic world, a global ice age has wiped out all life on Earth. The only survivors are the passengers of a train powered by a perpetual engine where your place in society is determined by your seat. The movie kicks off with a voiceover. The holy grail of modern eco-warriors, global warming, has finally been defeated thanks to a new chemical sprayed into the air. The plan was to cool the planet to optimal temperatures. The opening shots show planes high in the sky, leaving trails of chemicals, but nature had its own thermostat. An eternal winter set in, and all life perished. Only a handful of people survived aboard a railway arc, speeding along a global track through the snow. The story begins 17 years after the catastrophe. In the tail section, a soldier barges in and orders everyone to sit. The main character, Curtis, doesn't comply right away. He's plotting a rebellion and tells his friend Edgar that everything will change once they reach the elites. Soldiers hand out food, protein bars. They're also looking for a violinist who refuses to go without his wife. The soldiers beat her and drag him away by force. Watching this, Curtis says it's not yet time to act. He moves through the crowded tail section searching for a protein bar with a hidden note from an informant. It contains the name of a security specialist locked in the prison car. If freed, this guy could lead them to the front. That's Curtis's plan. Seize the engine and its creator, the magnate Wilford. At night, soldiers return and line up the children for a medical checkup. A woman in a yellow coat measures each kid's height and arm span with a tape measure. One mother tries to hide her son, but the soldiers brutally intervene. The woman in yellow takes two children away, and the father of one throws a shoe at her. As punishment, they stick his arm through a special hole in the train. While his arm freezes outside, Minister Mason delivers a speech about the need to follow rules, the inevitability of punishment for breaking them, and the unyielding class segregation laced with religious fanaticism. When the time's up, they pull the man's arm back in. It's completely frozen. They shatter it with a hammer. A group of rebels approaches the new cripple. Soldiers aim their weapons, but Mason orders them to lower their useless rifles. Leading the elders is Gilliam, an old acquaintance of Wilford's. Even Mason respects him. He asks her to tell the magnate they need to talk. Curtis tells Gilliam the soldiers have no bullets. They used up their ammo, crushing the last rebellion. They test this theory during the next food distribution. The rebels cause a ruckus, and a soldier threatens to shoot an old man. That's when Curtis decides to start the uprising. He steps forward, presses the rifle barrel to his head, and pulls the trigger before the stunned guard can react. A shout echoes. The rifles aren't loaded. The rebels start beating the guards. After overpowering the first line of defense, they drag a battering ram to the next car, preventing the steel doors from closing. Along the way, they vent their rage on the guards protecting the first class. At the end of the car, a hulking guard blocks their path, but a young rebel, Andrew, leaps onto his back and stabs him in the heart. From the guard's body, they grab a set of keys, including one for the security specialist's cell. This guy designed the train's locks and doors. The rebels convince him to join their desperate revolt. As an incentive, they offer a homemade drug called cronoli. The cunning technician, Nam-gung, haggles for a double dose for himself and his daughter, Yona, whom they free from a nearby cell. Yona, among other things, has a gift for foresight, predicting with eerie accuracy what's in the next car. Behind the next door awaits an empty car. Whoever lived here left in a hurry, leaving food on the tables. Outside the windows, an icy metropolis flashes by. Deprived of even such simple pleasures for years, the tail-enders marvel at the view. In the next car, they meet an old acquaintance, Paul, who's changed and acts strangely. He makes the low-quality protein bars. Curtis peeks into a vat of raw material and yells in disgust. The bars are made from ground-up pressed insects, bugs, cockroaches, you name it. Gross, but protein is protein. Curtis finds a capsule with a message. The mysterious informant isn't Paul. Someone else was passing him notes to hide in the bars. The note says water. It's a hint that controlling the water car would let the rebels dictate terms without seizing the engine. While Nam-gung hacks the lock, Curtis talks to Yona. Born on the train, she has the gift of foresight. Approaching the door, Yona warns that it shouldn't be opened, but Nam-gung has already connected the wires. The doors slide open, revealing a group of burly, steroid-pumped guys with sharp weapons. They show off their blades' sharpness on a fish carcass, but the starving rebels have nowhere to retreat. A brutal fight erupts in the cramped space, with blood spraying and bones crunching. Curtis grabs a trophy axe, making it easier and more fun to deliver justice. The slaughter between the oppressed and the oppressor's bodyguards pauses when a megaphone announces the train is crossing the Yekaterina Bridge. The soldiers count down from 10 to 1, then cheer for the new year. Instead of fireworks, the passengers get a different thrill, jolts on the tracks caused by ice blockages. The locomotive smashes through them, but the recoil makes the cars shudder. After the festive truce, the carnage resumes. Minister Mason steps in, delivering a fiery speech to the rebels. Overwhelmed with emotion, Curtis hurls his axe at her, but a skilled bodyguard deflects it with a hammer. The guards then don night vision goggles as a long tunnel lies ahead. Turning off the car's lights, they start beating the rebels. But the beating doesn't last long. A small boy who stole matches for the greater good lights a torch. Others ignite theirs from it. The enraged proletariat, now armed with fire, cuts through the guards and leadership. At one point, Curtis faces a tough moral choice: save Edgar or capture the wounded Mason. Class hatred outweighs friendship, and he seizes Mason, forcing her to order the guards to surrender. They use the captured water car for a noble cause, washing away the blood and remains of the oppressors. The rebels interrogate Mason with zeal. But Mason is well informed, down to the names and psychological profiles of the rebels, and skillfully bargains for her life. Having gone further than any previous rebels, Gilliam asks Curtis if he wants to stop before more people die. But Curtis is determined to end Wilford's tyranny. Leaving the prisoners and wounded under Gilliam's care, Curtis with a small group in Mason presses on. They pass through a garden car where vegetables are grown for the first class. Next is an aquarium with seafood and a sushi bar. The delicacy is served only twice a year due to the fragile ecosystem. The rebels luck out, arriving for the January tasting. Only Mason gets a protein bar made of crushed bugs. The next section is a slaughterhouse, followed by a classroom. None of the children are familiar to the rebels. These are first-class kids. The teacher plays a propaganda video about Wilford and the miracle train circling the Earth amidst the Ice Age. The lesson continues with a catchy song tinged with religious zeal. At the end, the kids are shown the Frozen Seven, the first rebels who jumped off the train in its third year. They didn't get far, freezing to death near the tracks. The rebels prepare to move on when a porter arrives with a traditional New Year's gift: boiled eggs from Wilford. He hands them out to everyone, unfazed by the ragged rebels. Curtis gets an egg with a capsule. The note inside says blood. The teacher's aides hide loaded guns under the eggs. They open fire, killing rebels. A well-aimed knife ends the pregnant teacher's lecture, but the wounded left behind are nearly all killed, and Gilliam is executed on camera. In a fit of rage, Curtis kills Mason, then continues toward the engine with the remaining rebels. They pass through the lavish first-class interiors, a stark contrast to the tail's slums. The train enters a sharp curve, and guards in the rear cars spot the rebels in the front through the windows. Seizing the moment, a policeman opens fire, shattering the glass, but neither side can inflict further damage. The bullets can't penetrate the windows. The guards catch up to the rebels in a sauna car. The policeman shoots passengers and guards alike, and even a knife wound doesn't stop him. He kills several rebels before Nam-gung and Curtis take him down together. Only 3 rebels remain. The path leads through a bar car, where first-class passengers waste their lives in idleness and pleasure. Nam-gung steals cranole from the stoned elites, stuffing his pockets for later. But it's not that simple. Nam-gung isn't an addict. Cranole doubles as plastic explosive, needed to blow open a door. Curtis recounts how life in the tale began 18 years ago. They had to eat each other, including children. They tasted better. That's why he wants to kill Wilford, the man responsible. Curtis confesses he killed Edgar's mother, the boy he didn't save, while capturing Mason. He asks Nam-gung to open the door, but Nam-gung admits he wasn't collecting cranole for Wilford. He plans to open an outer door to escape the train. He's noticed the weather outside is warming. The ice and snow are melting, meaning humanity might have a chance to survive. Nam-gung makes a bomb from the cranole and attaches it to the outer door, but he doesn't get to light the fuse. The front car opens, and the woman in yellow shoots Nam-gung. Then she invites Curtis to dine with Wilford. According to the train's creator, Curtis is the first to make it all the way to him. Wilford reveals that all the revolutions were orchestrated by him and Gilliam to systematically reduce the population and maintain the fragile balance of the closed ecosystem, but the Torch counterattack in the tunnel threw unexpected chaos into their plans. Wilford calls the Tales punitive squads, letting Curtis hear them eliminate excess passengers. Meanwhile, the policeman from the sauna, not fully dead, comes to. Nam-gung, despite his wound, survives too. He fights off passengers while Yona tinkers with the wires controlling the mechanisms. Wilford shows Curtis the engine and leaves him alone briefly to process it all. Then he brings a capsule with a note, confirming he was the rebellion's secret informant from the start. Wilford's plan is to groom a successor to care for the engine and train, as he's too old to rule humanity. Meanwhile, Yona opens the door to the front car. The woman in yellow investigates the noise but gets knocked out. Taking her chronolay explosive, Yona attaches it to the outer door. Among the stoned youth, the wounded policeman reappears, heading for Nam-gung for a final showdown. Curtis watches with Wilford whispering like a serpent, "Take the burden. Lead them. You know what people do without a leader." Yona runs to Curtis for matches, but he pushes her away. She pries up a floor tile with a fork, revealing a child among the endlessly spinning mechanisms. Wilford explains that only children under 5 can fit to maintain the engine. That's why they take kids from the tail. This is the final straw for the nearly persuaded Curtis. He knocks out Wilford and sacrifices his arm to jam the mechanism and free the child. Then he hands Yona the matches to blow open the outer door. The explosion triggers an avalanche that crashes into the train, derailing it. Some cars plummet into the abyss, others scatter before stopping. As the chaos settles, Yona and the young boy come to in the front car. Nam-gung and Curtis shielded them with their bodies, saving them. Yona climbs out of the wrecked car and steps onto pristine snow. The boy follows, having grabbed a fur coat his size in the chaos. All around are snow, towering mountains, and slim chances of survival. In the distance, a polar bear roams a mountainside. It means animals have adapted and survived. Whether humans can do the same in these conditions remains to be seen. That's Snowpiercer. Yona and the boy face a frozen future. Hope or doom? You tell me below. Snowpiercer's got crazy potential. A train as society's mirror could have outdone the Matrix, but the execution? Sloppy. It's gritty, looks cool sometimes, but feels half-baked with flat characters and buried meaning. I wanted a deep, wild masterpiece and got a letdown. Still worth a watch, once. Did it click for you? Like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time.